I'm joined by Henry Williams, Executive Director of the Michigan Gaming Control Board. Mr. Williams, thanks for being with me. Appointed by,
Absolutely.
it's great to have you here. Appointed by Governor Whitmer in 2021, about 20 years with the board before then. You've seen the growth of Michigan gaming for a couple of decades, and it is one of the more robust gaming markets in the country. Everything from tribal casinos to commercial casinos, online gaming, sports betting, in person and online, poker. So you've got a really active gaming environment in Michigan, which is seen as a model around the country. And by the way, let me just say congratulations on being voted Regulator of the Year in the American Gambling Awards.
Thank you so much, Larry, man. I'm so happy to be with you today.
Let me ask you, when you look back, especially since you've been executive director, what are some of the successes, Mr. Williams, that you've seen in the industry in Michigan as the industry continues to grow and is a very active industry? What are some of the successes you point to in Michigan?
Well, thank you for the question, Larry. And as you stated already, Michigan rolled out 25 years ago a gaming industry here where we opened up three commercial casinos here in the city of Detroit, along with now we have the 15 online platforms that operate. So we also have internet gaming along with sports betting. So we have both. So I understand there are only a handful of us in the country that have both entities online operating fully. We also have fantasy contests here in Michigan. We also regulate here at the Gaming Control Board our charitable gaming, which is our millionaire party, our Vegas style games, and we also regulate the horse racing industry here. In addition to just providing oversight for the tribal casinos, we have 23 tribal casinos here in the state of Michigan, along with the three commercial casinos throughout the state of Michigan. And really, the gaming industry here in Michigan has really been very robust. It provides many jobs. People really don't realize the economic impact outside of tax revenue that the casinos bring to a community. It's been a very successful tax base for the city of Detroit, making up a good part of their budget annually. And so everything that's earned as far as the tax revenue from the gaming industry here in Michigan goes to our school aid fund, so it helps our schools. So the industry here is very robust, very active. We have good partnerships with our stakeholders, and we work on those relationships every day.
Yeah, I want to ask you in a second. I know you've been a leader, you personally, in the state of Michigan in cracking down on some of the illegal gambling. But let me ask you first. You mentioned online. I'm talk about going forward first into the legislative session. Some of the things the board may look at in the legislative session. And one of the things too, we mentioned online gaming, iGaming, slots, those kind of things online. You guys are one of the few states with it. I think about a half dozen. One of the arguments against it around the country is it cannibalizes brick and mortar. Are you guys seeing any of that in Michigan that online takes away from people going to casinos?
No, we haven't seen that at all. What we're seeing is, I think there's a customer base for each. You have your individuals who go to the commercial casinos for the full entertainment segment that they're looking for, right? So they're going to shows, they're going to dinner, other activities at the casino, they're going to sporting events, they're listening, they're playing the machines. Some people still just want to be in person, hands on. And then you have another segment of individuals who find time that they want to gamble online. Maybe they're not getting out as much as they used to. Maybe they don't want to travel to a brick and mortar casino. Of course, the young people, that's what they do, right? They're always on those devices, so I think each have their own segment of the population in the customer base where we're not seeing that it's cannibalizing the commercial casinos.
And you got some of the arguments too about live dealers. I mean, who I know there's been some concern in some states about it would take away jobs, but you guys have live dealers, right, on your online
A-
site.
Absolutely. And what we're finding actually, Larry, is we have more occupational licensees, the dealers, at the live studios than we have in some of our commercial casinos. It's just the business is just that robust, right? Where we're licensing 800 individuals for one company to do online live dealing at the in the casinos or the online casinos, I should say.
That's very interesting. And going forward, you've got a legislative session coming up. I know the board, sometimes the agenda is pretty heavy for regulators at a legislative session anywhere in the country. Sometimes it's a little more light. What are some challenges, Mr. Williams, going forward in the Michigan gaming industry, from online to brick and mortar to sports betting and so forth? And are you guys going to go to the legislative session seeking anything? Is there anything on your plate that you want to see adjusted to smooth out the gaming process in Michigan?
Absolutely. We're always evaluating our regulations, what we do and how we do it. You know, we've been doing things a certain way for 25 years, and maybe there's a better business model that we can utilize. We're always looking to reduce regulations where we can. You know, if the regulation isn't needed any longer, then we like to adjust those and move along with the technology because, you know, in this industry, technology is rampant and it grows and it changes, you know, every single day. So we like to review what we have in our gaming acts. We like to review what we have in our administrative rules daily as the things come up. We're always looking at those internal controls. However, some things we got going on legislatively today, we're looking at changing or updating our definition for slot machines. You know, we have a lot of those. We're finding that we have a number of skill games, illegal machines here in Michigan. And so just to strengthen our law, we want to update that definition. So if we see things like the illegal market and the entering here in Michigan, we like to review what our law says and make sure it's strong enough to repel some of these illegal gaming operators.
And let's transition to that conversation. I was talking to a casino executive in Arkansas who told me Michigan, you specifically, but also the state of Michigan Gaming Control Board, the industry, has been a leader nationally in cracking down on an array of illegal, not only the illegal slot machines that may be in illegal casino sites. I know I saw a news release from you guys the other day about cracking down on some people, but beyond that, there's an effort in Michigan to crack down on offshore gaming. I know you've made integrity in the industry sort of a capstone of your executive directorship. And then there are those sweepstakes casinos. I know in California, there's a big effort with some of the tribal leaders to beat back the sweepstakes casinos there. It's become an issue, excuse me, nationally, as you know.
Yes.
People look to Michigan as a state that's taken the lead in some cease and desist letters, some pushing back against some of these sweepstakes, social casinos, whatever you want to call them. What are some of the things you guys have done in Michigan to try to put up some roadblocks, Mr. Williams, to some of those sweepstakes casinos, unregulated, untaxed, and some offshore gaming?
Yes, and you named some of the things that we're doing. And of course, we're not going to sit here in Michigan and say, hey, we know it all. We know how to stop everything. But what we will do once we identify you here operating in the state of Michigan, we're going to investigate you. We're going to ensure that you're following the rules and the law that Michigan says you have to follow to participate in gaming in this state. And once we do that and we identify that you're operating illegally, we're going to send you a cease and desist letter. We want people to comply. We don't want to have to take legal action against these companies. But you can't operate in this state without having a proper licensing to do so. We have businesses here who have invested in our state, in our residents, to participate in gaming legally in this state. I'm sure that the casinos don't mind true competition, but it has to be true competition, right? You need to apply for a license. You need to go through the background investigation because we have to keep bad actors out, right? So if you want to participate in legal gaming in Michigan, come on, we welcome you to come here, but you have to do it legally. And so some of the things we have done is cease and desist letters. We have taken other court action. And and we report it, right? So like you said, you saw some of our reports, you see some of our press releases because we want it to be public. We want other companies to know you can't come here to Michigan and operate illegally. So we are going to make a splash of it. We are going to let the world know that you're operating illegally. And hopefully the companies that you're utilizing, like your payment processors, will see these and say, wait a minute, what are you doing? Because now you're going to place their business at risk, right? And hopefully what happens, the other states come on board. We put enough pressure on these sweep states and these illegal operators. And then hopefully we get the Justice Department and the FBI involved to shut these operations down. Because ultimately that's what needs to happen.
Yeah, and I've seen you not only protecting the legally regulated operators in Michigan that pay the taxes and go through the licensing process to make it fair at that level. But I think I saw you gave a speech at a conference about also protecting the bettor. In other words, the person who's wagering. If you go online in Michigan to a regulated sports book or to or in person
Yes.
or an iCasino, an iGaming operator. If you go offshore, if you go with a one that's not regulated, you may not get paid. You may not. There are all sorts of implications involved, even for the person that places the bet. Am I misstating? Did I see you address that at some point?
Yes, absolutely. Because one thing that happens when citizens who unknowingly go out and they use one of these illegal sites, we always place on our website the legal regulated sites for citizens to utilize. However, when citizens don't know and they go on the internet, they thinking this is legal, they're unprotected. It leads to fraud, right? But they're giving up their identification, to this black market. It opens up where our children are playing games way too soon, are gambling way too soon. And it may lead to them developing a gambling issue, in their young lives that they shouldn't have. In like the brick and mortars, these pop-up shops for these skill games, I mean, it brings a certain element into the communities that shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
So yes, we're going to fight against this all day, every day. I have an entire staff dedicated to seeking out these individuals who's operating illegally in this state. And yes, we get calls. Some people say, oh, you're hurting the small businessman. No, we're not, because there's other opportunities for small businesses. They have lottery, they can do Keno. We have the millionaire parties, the charitable gaming events. They can use their locations to host some of those events. So there are other things that the small business person can do if they want to be involved in any type of gaming here in Michigan. However, you can't have the illegal slot machines. You can't have them. We're going to seek to have those removed. And then in the online market, all these entities that's out here operating illegally, like I said, we're going to send you a cease and desist. We want you to stop operating illegally. However, if you don't, then we're going to involve law enforcement to shut you down.
Yeah, and as you said, I think you have 150 or so staff members, and you do have a portion set aside to specifically target illegal operators. And do you guys work with the Attorney General's office? Is there some collaboration there to put up some
Yeah,
roadblocks?
absolutely. Attorney General has been a great partner for the Michigan Gaming Control Board. And I would urge any other jurisdiction, partner with your Attorney General's office, partner with your state police to shut these illegal sites down. They only harm the gaming industry, they're harming our citizens, and most importantly, our young people are getting on these sites and they're gambling and it's harming them. And we just have to make sure we have roadblocks in place to prevent it.
I'm glad you mentioned that because, as I said, this casino executive I talked to, I know he reached out to the Gaming Control Board in Michigan, some staff members, some legal people, to get advice from Michigan on because they're having a problem there with these unregulated offshore sweepstakes sites, and so he reached out to you guys. So I appreciate you mentioning some things that other
Yeah.
states can do.
And we encourage other state jurisdictions to reach out to us. We're here to assist. So whatever we have that can help you, we're happy to provide.
Is that a big problem going forward, those sweepstakes casinos, or do you think there'll be a point where they'll try to get regulated and licensed? It seems to be that that part of the industry seems to realize there's pressure on them.
Yeah, I think it's going to get worse if we don't put a stop to it. And that's why we're taking the steps that we're taking today. That online market is so broad and vast, right? Unlike a physical location, there's so many different sites that's popping up every day. Literally, my staff is out there and they're finding hundreds of these illegal sites, these sweepstakes. And we're doing our best to reach out to them, have a conversation with them. You're operating illegally, the format you're using. Some of the formats, they have it where it's just social play, right? Where people can get free tokens and they're playing or whatever that play is going on. However, when you start involving those elements of gaming in there, consideration, chance, and prize, if you got those three elements, it's illegal. That's gaming. You need a license from the Michigan Gaming Control Board to conduct gaming.
Yeah, are you finding some success in pushing back against these people? Are you finding that they're saying, "Hey, Michigan's, no, we can't go into Michigan because they're going to crack down on us"?
Yes, there's a number of companies who have come to us once they see a press release, and they come to us and say, "Hey, we're operating. Are we doing this legally?" And we'll take a look and we advise them, "No, you're not," and they have shut down. We appreciate those businesses who understand what's legal and what's not legal, and they move on and they shut down the operations here in Michigan. Now, are they shutting those down in other jurisdictions? I don't know, but at least they're stopping them here in Michigan.
Which is why I think other jurisdictions are looking to you guys. Mr. Williams, I really appreciate you taking the time. Before we end it, again, congratulations on Gambling.com's American Gambling Awards Regulator of the Year, voted by a panel of 20 judges in the industry who know the industry inside and out. So congratulations again. Before we close, are there any thoughts you have about going forward in Michigan? I know we talked about some of the things that are going on, but any other thoughts going forward? For instance, is there a possibility that more? I know you have commercial casinos in Detroit. What did you say? 23 tribal casinos across the state. Will there be an effort to license more commercial casinos? Will there be? I know there was there's been a big discussion industry-wide about tax increases on online sports books, for instance. Do you see any of that popping up in Michigan going forward? Any thoughts on any of that?
Well, most of those items would definitely have to come from the legislature. As far as if they are going to increase taxes, I haven't heard anything about increasing taxes here in Michigan. Of course, for any additional commercial casinos would require a constitutional amendment. Again, the legislature, so we're always here waiting for what the legislature would like to do. And thankfully here in Michigan, we do get the calls and we can answer any questions they have. I always say, whatever you give us, just give us the power to regulate it, because we're regulators. That's what we do here at the Michigan Gaming Control Board. We regulate the industry. And just as long as we have the tools we need to regulate it, we'll take it on.
Henry Williams, Executive Director, Michigan Gaming Control Board. Thank you so much for taking the time today to be with us. And I want to thank everybody else for joining us today. I'm Larry Henry at Gambling.com. Thank you for joining us on The Edge.